It is the moment of Rishi Sunak, who's now scripted history and is all set to become the next Prime Minister of Britain. So at the age of 42, Rishi Sunak will be the youngest British Prime Minister in its modern history. He'll also be the first person of British Indian origin to take charge at 10 Downing Street. Now, his closest contender, Penny Mordaunt, remember, dropped out of the Tory leadership race virtually at the last moment, announcing that there was just one person with the backing of more than 100 members of Parliament. The 1922 committee chairman, Graham Brady, confirmed that Rishi Sunak is the leader of the Tory party and will be the next Prime Minister. And these are live visuals that we are getting in the aftermath of the leadership contest, which Rishi Sunak has won fair and square. Now, while backing out, Penny Mordaunt said that she is proud of the campaign that she ran. She also called this a historic moment, adding that Rishi Sunak has got her full support. And according to reports, it is expected that Rishi Sunak will formally take over as the Prime Minister sometime tomorrow. The ex-Chancellor gained the support of well over half the members of the Tory members of Parliament, and Mordaunt was struggling to reach the 100 mark that is needed for her to be in contention. And Rishi Sunak will become United Kingdom's first British Indian Prime Minister.
As returning officer in the leadership election, I can confirm that we have received one valid nomination. Rishi Sunak is therefore elected as leader of the Conservative Party.
All right, now to give us more perspective in terms of how this development is likely to impact British politics, we are joined in by senior British journalist Nicholas Nugent, who is joining us live on this broadcast. Now, Mr. Nugent, Rishi Sunak is the man of the moment. He's won the leadership race of the Tory party and is expected to take over as the Prime Minister of Britain at 10 Downing Street by as early as tomorrow. How do you see things going forward from here?
Well, I think what we're looking for, first of all, is a restoration of stability, because we've had quite a disrupted few months since Boris Johnson was forced out of office and then Liz Truss was chosen. She presented a disastrous mini budget, which then had to be rowed back upon before she herself resigned. So what people want more than anything else is stability. And I'm pleased to say that in the couple of hours since it's been clear that Rishi Sunak will take over, the markets have shown their contentment, let me put it like that. The pound has gone up and the cost of government borrowing has gone down, both two key indicators. So first of all, we seem to be back to some degree of stability, but it doesn't mean that the new Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, doesn't have a tough challenge ahead of him to make sure that that restoration of stability, especially on the markets, continues. So he has a difficult task once he's sworn in as Prime Minister, which will take place tomorrow.
Absolutely. We do continue to stay on with us, Ms. Nugent. We are looking at live visuals that are being beamed straight from London. Rishi Sunak there, the man of the moment, he is now going to be the next Prime Minister of Britain. And this, of course, is a campaign that he's fought for a pretty long and hard time. Just 7 weeks ago, he had lost the contest to Liz Truss, but now he is the undisputed leader of the Tory party and also shortly will be the next Prime Minister of Britain. And this could happen as early as tomorrow. All right, so that was a moment where Rishi Sunak, of course, just making it very clear that he has the backing of the members of the Tory members of Parliament, and a crucial moment in British politics, because after the turmoil that we've witnessed in the last 3-4 odd months, now it is being hoped that Britain will have some level of both political and financial stability. And as has been proven in terms of how the markets have, of course, reacted, the pound sterling went up by almost about 0.15% against the American dollar. And we have senior journalist Nicholas Nugent, who's still with us on this broadcast. Mr. Nugent, you know, this was a contest that started off as soon as Liz Truss came out and announced that she simply is not able to fulfill the mandate for which he was elected as the Prime Minister. Now, Rishi Sunak will have to hit the ground running. He's got a difficult winter ahead. The cost of living crisis is in front of him. And he's also got to unify the Tory party, which at this point of time appears to be, you know, in some ways, there are different power centres and different factions within the Tory party. And Rishi Sunak's first job will be to take all of them together.
Talk about the markets recovering. I think the other market we have to keep our eye on is opinion polls in the country, because unusually he's become Prime Minister without a general election, the second new leader to take over, at a time of very considerable disarray within the Conservative Party and indeed within the country. And I think the message I'm getting from the overwhelming vote that he got from fellow Conservative members of Parliament is, we got this one wrong last time. Now let's put in place somebody that we trust to a greater degree. And of course, Rishi Sunak has been the Minister of Finance or Chancellor of the Exchequer for nearly 3 years. So he has a very good track record, especially bringing the country through the pandemic by introducing tax incentives to restore the economy. So that's really a big thing that he has going for him, which of course Liz Truss's administration didn't. So not only the Conservative Party, but I think the country at large have a high degree of confidence in him in restoring the stability to our politics, but most of all, stability to the economy and the markets. So right. He comes with a lot of goodwill behind him. And although there is clamouring for a general election by the opposition parties, if we have to, I think their attitude is, if we have to continue to be led by a Conservative leader, we've now got the right one. That's how I'm interpreting the message given by the votes today.
Absolutely. Very interesting. The visuals that we're looking at are from in front of the Conservative Party's headquarters, where Rishi Sunak has just come by, and he, of course, has greeted his supporters there. And also, Mr. Nugent, this is a very interesting moment for British politics, isn't it? A lot of commentators have said that the Tory party has not been as weak as what it has been. The Tory leadership has been in complete disarray, and Rishi Sunak, now that he's been elected as the leader of the Tory party, and also by virtue of that the Prime Minister of Britain, will have to now strengthen the Tory party leading into the next elections, which are slated to be held by the end of 2024. But can he last till that time?
My personal opinion is that he won't have any trouble lasting till that time, because the country don't want a new change of leader. I think the more pertinent question is whether he can lead the Conservatives back to victory in 2 years' time, assuming the election takes place when we expect. And there, I think there's a very big question mark, because the gap between the Conservative Party and the Labour Party on the opinion polls has widened enormously during the past 5 weeks or so. That's to say, if we had an election tomorrow, the Labour Party would romp home and form a government, and most Conservative members of Parliament would lose their seats. In other words, they would be absolutely trounced at the election. But I would also propose the notion that if anybody has a chance of restoring Conservative fortunes before that election, it's Rishi Sunak.
Absolutely.
Because the fall came during, well, firstly during Boris Johnson's tenure and then during Liz Truss's tenure. Now we have a new man, and provided he plays his cards very well, especially as regards the economy, I think he's going to close that gap very considerably, and he will take the Conservative Party into the next election. Whether the party will win that election is much more questionable. I think he won't have any problem staying in office for 2 years.
I think you've hit the nail on the head when you say that his performance on the economic front will determine to a very large extent in terms of how the Tory party will perform under his leadership. But also it is important to highlight the achievement of Rishi Sunak today. He has become the youngest Prime Minister that Britain has had in its modern history at the age of 42, and he's also the first British Prime Minister of British Indian origin. This speaks tremendously about the diversity in British politics.
Yes, and I'm going to give credit here to Boris Johnson, and many people don't have much good to say about Boris Johnson at the moment, but he did bring a lot of non-British origin people into his cabinet. It was the most diverse cabinet we've ever seen. And of course, Rishi Sunak was one of those. So Boris Johnson paved the way for us to get over whatever lingering questions we might have about appointing somebody of non-British origin. Having said that, Rishi Sunak is more British than I am in a way. He was born and bred in Britain, and he spent his whole life in Britain. So he's absolutely British despite that Indian origin. And there's been a lot of discussion today about this being the first non-white Prime Minister to take office, and indeed it is. But we have, as has been pointed out, it's not the first non-Christian to take office, because we have had a Jewish leader in Benjamin Disraeli, but that was a long, long time ago. So I hope this means we're entering the modern era in which skin colour doesn't count, but intelligence does, because in my personal opinion, that's why Rishi Sunak won. He showed he was so much more intelligent and had a much greater command of the things that matter, notably management of the economy, than any of the other contenders. And that's why I think he's there. And I wish him well. And of course, it's a very nice touch that he is elected to that position on Diwali. So Indians can celebrate as well.
Absolutely. That is very, very true indeed. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Nicholas Nugent, for joining us and getting us all those insights. This, of course, is a historic moment in British politics where Rishi Sunak has now become the first Prime Minister of Britain of British Indian origin. But remember, he's there on his talent and on his merit. And the biggest task in front of him is, of course, on how he deals with the many problems that ail the British economy. Can he deliver growth and stability, and also some degree of bring down the price of energy that Britain is in fact staring at as it heads into this very cold and bitter winter, is what will to a very large extent depend on how Rishi Sunak's Prime Ministership will of course be viewed. And my colleague Alex Isaac, who's been tracking the story for us the whole day, is now online with us. She's joining us live from London at this point of time. Now, Alex, this is the crucial moment. Rishi Sunak is the leader of the Tory party now. He will be taking over as the Prime Minister, according to reports, but as early as tomorrow. Tell us a bit about the schedule that is planned out. We're given to understand that King Charles is on his way back to London, and he is expected to, of course, now appoint Rishi Sunak.
That's right. We understand that he is due to Buckingham Palace later today, and then we will see the resignation of Liz Truss. So she will have to put her resignation to King Charles III, and then he will announce Rishi Sunak officially as the new Prime Minister of the UK. So that's what we're expecting, but we don't expect that today. At the moment, obviously, Rishi Sunak has spoken to his MPs, and then he had gone to the Conservative HQ as well to discuss what he wants to change and what he wants to focus on going forward. And what we understand is that he doesn't want to be calling a general election before the next one is up, and he wants unity. So he has been asking his MPs to stand by him and to move forward, and he's going to be trying to put some policies in place that will at least try and unite some of the party.
Absolutely indeed. And also very quickly, just before we let you go, we are given to understand that Rishi Sunak addressed the members of the Tory party after the announcement was made that he has now won the leadership race. Now, that was a meeting that was held in private. Have you been able to get any details in terms of the message that Rishi Sunak had for the Tory members of Parliament?
Yes, it was held in private, but we do understand that there was a lot of cheering and banging on desks as he entered the room and while he was having his speech as well. So from listening, it's clear that these people are backing him. The MPs are ready to back him. What we understand, what was said, was again regarding the unity. It's about putting the country forward, and that's what he was making sure that everyone was speaking about, and that he wanted to put that person forward. He is that person to unify the party itself, and he did ask everyone to stand by him and as they move forward. And as I said, he did say again that there won't be a general election, so that's put some people's minds at rest as well. So it's all about now moving forward, and he did say that he wants everyone to move forward together.
Absolutely indeed. Alex, thank you very much indeed for joining us and getting us all those updates from London. This, of course, is a historic moment. Rishi Sunak, at the age of 42, has become the youngest Prime Minister of Britain in its modern history. He's the first person of British Indian origin who will be in charge at 10 Downing Street. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.